Hello, I'm Kush, and I want to talk about a few things. In this video, I want to go over topics such as mental ability or cognition in gaming, improvement and maintaining a healthy outlook while achieving your goals. Remember, a lot of what I'm talking about involves getting into video games with a competitive mindset. This advice is geared and driven with a competitive player in mind, not for every gamer out there. With that out of the way, I want to start off by saying thank you for watching. I, by no means, am a professional in any capacity when talking about these subjects. However, I would like to dispense my opinions and theories relating to my experiences when learning a new game. I am not a quote-unquote professional in any games, nor do I have any credentials to speak of dealing with health or psychology. All I can offer is my own meandering experience as possible wisdom to dispense for those interested in listening. People that I have met over time, as well as myself, have experiences which speak volumes for why we do the crazy things that we do to ourselves. Over the years, I've realized that I put myself in many situations that require a strong mental in various capacities. Whether it is in disciplining myself to go through arduous and tough training, or partaking in experiences that fit the actual definition of insanity, I find myself enduring less and enjoying myself more. Maybe I am maturing to a point where I can appreciate the journey more than I did when I was younger. Maybe I am hardened by my previous experiences. Whatever it is, I am here to dispense my thoughts and theories on keeping a proper mindset while gaming. Jumping into any game for the first time can be daunting. These days, it's not uncommon to see games that expect the player to learn prior to playing, with absolutely no hand-holding and a vast world to explore and learn from. Good examples of varied generation and genre are P99 EverQuest, which is a version of the game running alongside live servers that feature a snapshot of EverQuest at a specific point in time, and Rust. Both of these games are difficult to learn if you were to just buy and start the game up, although not all games are like this, and many games follow a familiar formula depending on the genre. A lot of the time this makes for an easy experience when learning the game. You'll experience varied skill floors and skill ceilings, basically how easy or hard it is to learn the game and master the game respectively. If you are having a hard time grasping the core concept of what the game has to offer, it might be because the game has a high skill floor, much like Escape from Tarkov. Tarkov will throw you into a harsh realistic combat zone against other players and AI in an FPS environment, with many systems in the game to uphold the realism. It's hard to get a good grasp of how to play Tarkov well. I've heard from a few friends that it took them years to feel comfortable playing Tarkov. When I find myself in situations like these, there's two primary things that I focus on: learning and familiarization. Learn from the other players or resources that are available to you, find out what people usually do, and learn from the success and failures that they share. The knowledge will bolster your experiences, but experiencing the practice will help cement the familiarization. Here's how I see it. The more you do something, the more comfortable you are with it. The more comfortable you are with it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets, the better you become. You'll have to push yourself once things start feeling too familiar or easy. Expand your horizons in any way that you can, and take the things that you enjoy seriously. You'll feel much more rewarded in the end than if you just give up halfway. And you can always surprise yourself when you exceed your expectations out of nowhere. If you find that it is really hard to improve and progress, you might be dealing with a game that has a high skill ceiling. A prime example of this is Osu. Osu is a rhythm game that primarily focuses on the timing and aim capabilities of the player. You aim in a 2D space with usually either a mouse or a tablet, and use a keyboard usually to hit the beat in game. This game can be particularly frustrating if you find that you can't progress. Some friends of mine have had rapid improvement in this game, while others, like myself, have either had a hard time progressing or haven't progressed at all. I've been decaying for months in case anyone has been interested. In situations like with OS or other high skill ceiling games, I usually keep with the attitude that hard work and dedication will pay off. Diligent practice and keeping a clear idea of your progress are important. It's easy to trick yourself into not seeing your improvement, as you'll not be satisfied and continue to seek improvement. It's important to acknowledge and celebrate your improvement and small victories to help you keep motivated without burning yourself out or tilting too easily. Take the time to learn what kind of monster you're dealing with, and use what you learn to experience what a game has to offer. You'd be surprised at what people miss out on in gaming. Just for anecdotal purposes, I've once watched a Twitch streamer play No Man's Sky blind and try to fly from system to system without his warp drive. For those unfamiliar with No Man's Sky, this might be a little bit of explaining. In the game, you go through a set of tutorial missions to help familiarize yourself with the game and the different things that it offers you, such as your first spacecraft. After a few more tutorial missions, you acquire the ability to warp from star system to star system, essentially giving you access to the main game. He believed it was his right to have that freedom to just fly from one system to another as soon as he got his ship, and believed he didn't need the warp drive as his ship had a pulse drive, which did make his ship considerably faster, though. Just to give a gauge on how ridiculous this is, I'm not even sure it's possible to switch from system to system with a pulse drive. The worst part about this video gaming travesty is that the stream was sponsored, essentially showcasing an objectively incorrect portrayal of the video game because of my man's clouded judgment and bullheaded mentality. Now, the subjects we were talking about can be quantified by means of objective performance. You can acquire a better KDR, you can score higher in OS, you can relate your performance to a standard and observe your progress. However, let's talk about something a bit more esoteric: your mental ability. Mental ability, or cognition, as defined by Oxford Languages, is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. This can definitely translate towards a better objective performance. However, cognition in of itself may be measured, however might be more difficult to quantify. Let me explain. Think of Counter-Strike. In it, you have a set environment that you learn various thought processes that you think about less but do more through repetition. Things like aiming for common points of entry, choke points, crosshair placement, as well as other notable points of interest and mechanics like nades and utility, so on. These thought processes in combination would be what is considered your game sense. You have a good or a bad game sense depending on how well you can read and execute based off of indirect knowledge, most commonly in the form of comms. However, in more casual scenarios, things like the kill feed or inactivity in varied areas of the map can tell you bits of indirect knowledge, to name a couple of other sources. Your mental ability plays heavily here, as what you learn and practice is put to the test in every engagement. Properly playing will lead you to success, and a good game sense would be one of your first steps to improving yourself in that type of environment. Being able to review your own footage and learn from what you've done, good or bad, is also a good way to notice where to improve. Sometimes it's hard to remember what you need to or notice what you need to when you're in the heat of the moment. It's good to review recent experiences and look out for areas that you may not notice are weak. In genres like FPS, this is easily done. However, if you wish to improve in other genres, you may have a better time learning from others until you can recognize yourself what areas you need improvement in. Genres like MMOs or RPGs in general are usually well documented with a vast set of resources to explore, whereas more niche titles might require a more intimate approach, such as finding someone streaming to help. It's not worth it to lose your mind over something you don't even know what you're losing your mind over. A good example of this are fishing games. I would love to tell you that fishing games do an amazing job emulating the fishing experience. However, I've never gone fishing, sadly, other than a few brief chance experiences growing up. However, I can tell you that you can find fishing experiences in games that will frustrate you if you do not know what you're doing. In many ways, this might take some explaining. You see, I enjoy fishing games. I learned how to play and the basics from an old streaming friend of mine. He jumped into a video game named Russian Fishing 4, which looked entertaining enough for someone like me who was just looking for new gaming experiences. Soon enough, I was streaming it as well, and learned a wealth of information. However, the way these fishing games are set up is that there are hotspots for your fish. These hotspots are usually documented on user-generated websites and applications that you can quickly reference to find out the details of what you need and where you need to be to optimally fish. Before knowing about the hotspots in games like Fishing Planet or Russian Fishing 4, the games could be particularly frustrating. Though you wouldn't know why you aren't catching fish without this knowledge, it's not worth it to lose your mind over something you don't even know what you're losing your mind over. Sometimes all you need is a 5-minute break to reassess the possibility and think of other ways to overcome your current obstacle. Or a Twitch streamer. Winning is great, but winning isn't everything. Though, when objectively it is about winning and you have more fun when you win, what are you to do? Get better? What happens if you don't get better? What happens when you try and it still doesn't work out? After all the learning and practice and time and effort, how will you handle these moments? The good moments come and go, though it's common for the human mind to put more emphasis on the bad than the good. Can you think of 3 historical figures that did wrong in the world? Now, can you think of 3 historical figures that did right by the world? Which was easier to do? When I've asked this question before, it was really easy for my friends to come up with terrible people through history, but it took them much longer to think of 3 historical figures that were good for the time and the people they were with. So to relate this with what we're talking about in gaming, it's much easier for you to commiserate when you do poorly than it is for you to acknowledge and celebrate your victories, by the stated logic anyways. I want to use this line of thinking as a basis for what I think one major problem in maintaining a healthy outlook in gaming is. The importance of celebrating your success and acknowledging improvement can be questioned. However, with many games these days being endless grinds in one aspect or another, I find the importance easily. These sorts of self-adored praises are meant to be a head of steam of sorts for you, an incentive to do better and achieve that moment again, where you recognize that you did in fact improve and that your time and effort was not in vain. And yes, this is a clip of me dancing around in a fit of joy like some sort of crazed gold miner striking gold. Might I also venture to say that leading a healthy lifestyle could be beneficial and contribute towards our venture towards a better gamer. Things like maintaining a schedule, simple hygiene, a clean room, keeping yourself and your environment immaculate couldn't hurt. Though it doesn't need to end there, keep the mind healthy as well. Enjoy yourself and relax from time to time. If you feel like you are getting too tilted or taking the game too seriously, take a break. Go for some fresh air or listen to something, eat a banana, try and reset and come back fresh. So those are my meandering thoughts and advice that I can dispense at this time. I hope that someone will find some value in this, or it helps open up avenues of thought that help. If this is something that seems like you want more of, I can continue to talk about meta topics in gaming. However, I'm still relatively unsure of the direction in these videos, and this is a test of sorts as well. Even after attempting to collect my thoughts and writing things out, I feel as if my points were very scattered. What did you think? These were just thoughts that float around in my head from time to time when I'm gaming, and I wanted to use this opportunity to put my thoughts out there. Whether I'm having an amazing time or a terrible time, this too shall pass. We just have to remember to keep our wits about us and maintain a level head while we game to achieve what we desire most. The dub.
Look, I'm a porno.